In a scene that's making international headlines, Zambians are heading to South Africa in large numbers ahead of Edgar Lungu's burial. What's driving this emotional wave, and how is South Africa preparing? Let's dive in. Zambians are reportedly traveling in large numbers to South Africa as the country prepares for the burial of former President Edgar Lungu. Round pushpin, what's causing this massive movement? Passport control, how is South Africa managing this influx? Fire, what does this mean for Zambia's political atmosphere? Watch the full breakdown and reaction now, only on InspirAfrica Official. Analysis of Zambian movement to South Africa, Lungu's burial and its implications. Introduction. The recent movement of Zambians to South Africa, described as a massive movement, appears to be tied to a significant event, the burial of a figure referred to as Lungu. This phenomenon has sparked discussions about migration, political dynamics, and cross-border relations between Zambia and South Africa. The emotional weight of this event, particularly for Lungu supporters, suggests it holds deep cultural, political, or social significance. This analysis explores the causes of this movement, South Africa's response, the political implications for Zambia, and whether this migration constitutes a national pilgrimage. The document also examines government responses from both nations and considers future implications. What's causing this massive movement? The massive movement of Zambians to South Africa is likely driven by a combination of emotional, political, and social factors centered around the burial of a figure named Lungu. While the exact identity of Lungu is not explicitly clear from the query, context suggests it could refer to a prominent individual, possibly a political or cultural leader, whose death has galvanized significant public response. For the purposes of this analysis, we'll assume Lungu refers to a figure of national importance in Zambia, such as former President Edgar Lungu or another influential person, whose passing has triggered widespread mourning and pilgrimage-like behavior. Emotional and cultural drivers. The emotional resonance of Lungu's burial is a primary driver of this movement. Funerals of prominent figures in African societies often serve as focal points for collective grief, unity, and reflection. In Zambia, where cultural practices emphasize communal mourning, the death of a significant figure can prompt large gatherings, including cross-border travel to attend funerals or related ceremonies. The phrase, emotional start, Zambians arrive in S, indicates that this movement is not purely logistical but deeply sentimental, with Zambians traveling to pay their respects or participate in memorial activities. Cultural significance of funerals. In many African cultures, including Zambia's, funerals are not just private events but public expressions of respect, loyalty, and identity. The burial of a figure like Lungu likely carries symbolic weight, representing a moment of national reckoning or closure for supporters. Diaspora connections. Zambia has a sizable diaspora in South Africa, particularly in cities like Johannesburg and Cape Town. The movement may include Zambians already living in South Africa converging on a specific location for the burial, alongside those traveling from Zambia. This diaspora may feel a strong connection to Lungu, prompting participation in memorial events. Media amplification. Social media and news coverage, particularly on platforms like X, may have amplified the event's significance, encouraging more people to join the movement. Posts on X could be rallying supporters or spreading awareness of the burial's importance, creating a snowball effect. Political motivations. If Lungu refers to a political figure, such as former President Edgar Lungu, who, as of my last update, was alive but could be a hypothetical or miscontextualized reference, the movement may have political undertones. Political funerals often serve as platforms for supporters to demonstrate loyalty, protest, or assert influence. Key political motivations include show of strength. Supporters of Lungu may be traveling to South Africa to demonstrate political solidarity, especially if the burial is perceived as a moment to rally against opposing factions or the current Zambian government. Contested legacy. If Lungu was a polarizing figure, the burial could be a flashpoint for political tensions, with supporters traveling to honor his legacy while others may view the event differently. Cross-border political networks. Zambia and South Africa share historical and political ties, including through liberation movements and regional organizations like SADC. The movement may reflect these networks, with political actors in South Africa facilitating or encouraging Zambian participation. Economic and logistical factors. While the movement appears emotionally driven, economic and logistical factors also play a role. Proximity and accessibility. South Africa is a regional hub with relatively accessible transport links to Zambia, including buses, flights, and informal cross-border travel networks. This makes it feasible for large numbers of Zambians to travel for the event. Economic opportunities. Some individuals may see the journey as an opportunity to combine mourning with economic activities, such as visiting family, seeking work, or engaging in trade, given South Africa's status as an economic powerhouse in the region. Organized travel. The scale of the movement suggests possible organized efforts, such as chartered buses or community-led initiatives, to facilitate travel to South Africa. Spec potential causes. Without specific details about Lungu's identity or the exact nature of the event, several scenarios could explain the movement. Death of a prominent figure. If Lungu is a former leader or cultural icon, the movement reflects a desire to honor their legacy. For example, if this refers to Edgar Lungu, his death, hypothetical as of 2025, would likely draw supporters from his political base. parties, particularly the Patriotic Front (PF) party. Exile or relocation. If Lungu was in South Africa at the time of death, e.g. due to exile or medical treatment, supporters may be traveling to attend the funeral or claim the body. Symbolic event. The burial could be part of a larger symbolic or religious event, such as a commemoration tied to Zambia's history, prompting a pilgrimage-like response. How is South Africa managing this influx? South Africa, as a regional economic and political hub, is accustomed to handling large inflows of people, whether for economic migration, tourism, or events. However, the sudden and emotionally charged arrival of thousands of Zambians for Lungu's burial poses unique challenges and opportunities. South Africa's response likely involves immigration control, public safety measures, and diplomatic coordination with Zambia. Immigration and border control. South Africa's Department of Home Affairs and Border Management Authority would be at the forefront of managing this influx. Visa and entry requirements. Zambians do not require visas for short-term visits to South Africa under SADC protocols, which facilitates travel. However, a sudden surge could strain border posts like Beitbridge or Grobler's Bridge. South Africa may deploy additional immigration officers to process travelers efficiently. Documentation checks. To prevent illegal overstays, South Africa may increase scrutiny of travel documents, ensuring visitors have returned tickets or proof of purpose, e.g. attending the funeral. Temporary permits. If the influx overwhelms standard procedures, South Africa could issue temporary entry permits or waive certain requirements to accommodate mourners, as seen in past regional events. Public safety and infrastructure. The arrival of large numbers of Zambians requires robust public safety and logistical measures. Crowd management. If the burial is held in a major city like Johannesburg, local police and private security may be deployed to manage crowds, prevent unrest, and ensure safety at the funeral venue. Transport and accommodation. South Africa's transport infrastructure, including buses and taxis, would need to accommodate increased demand. Hotels, guest houses, and informal accommodations in townships may see a surge in bookings, with some Zambians staying with relatives in the diaspora. Health and sanitation. Large gatherings pose health risks, particularly in the context of diseases like COVID-19 or cholera. South African authorities may implement health screenings or provide sanitation facilities at key venues. Diplomatic and political response. South Africa's response is also shaped by its diplomatic relations with Zambia. Coordination with Zambia. South Africa likely communicates with the Zambian government to verify the nature of the event, ensure security, and facilitate repatriation of the body if applicable. High-level discussions between the two nations' foreign ministries would address logistical and political sensitivities. Neutrality. If Lungu's burial has political undertones, South Africa must balance its role as a neutral host while managing potential tensions between Lungu supporters and the Zambian government. SADC involvement. As members of the Southern African Development Community, SADC, both nations may involve regional bodies to coordinate responses, especially if the event has broader implications for regional stability. Economic and social impacts. The influx could have short-term economic benefits, such as increased revenue for transport, hospitality, and retail sectors. However, it may also strain local resources, particularly in areas with existing xenophobic tensions. South African communities may have mixed reactions, with some welcoming Zambians as SADC neighbors and others expressing concerns about resource competition. What does this mean for Zambia's political atmosphere? The movement of Zambians to South Africa for Lungu's burial could significantly impact Zambia's political landscape, particularly if Lungu is a political figure like Edgar Lungu. The political atmosphere in Zambia is already complex, with tensions between the ruling United Party for National Development (UPND) under President Hichilema and the opposition Patriotic Front (PF), formerly led by Edgar Lungu. This section explores the implications for Zambia's political dynamics. Polarization and mobilization. The burial could deepen existing political divisions. Supporter mobilization. If Lungu was a polarizing figure, his burial could galvanize PF supporters, providing a platform to rally against the UPND government. Mass attendance at the funeral, especially if it involves cross-border travel, signals strong loyalty to Lungu's legacy, which could translate into political organizing. Government response. The UPND government may view the movement as a potential challenge to its authority, particularly if supporters use the event to criticize government policies or leadership. This could lead to heightened surveillance or restrictions on political activities in Zambia. Opposition dynamics. The burial may reshape the opposition landscape, with new leaders emerging to carry Lungu's mantle or factions within the PF vying for control. National identity and unity. Funerals of prominent figures often serve as moments of national reflection. Unity or division. While the burial could unite Zambians in mourning, it may also highlight divisions between those who supported Lungu and those who opposed him. The emotional weight of the event could either foster reconciliation or exacerbate tensions. Legacy debates. Lungu's legacy, whether as a political leader or cultural figure, will likely dominate public discourse. Supporters may emphasize his contributions, while critics may highlight controversies, shaping Zambia's political narrative. Regional implications. The movement has implications beyond Zambia's borders. Zambia-South Africa relations. The event could strengthen bilateral ties if both governments cooperate effectively. However, any mishandling, e.g., mistreatment of Zambian travelers in South Africa, could strain relations. SADC dynamics. If the burial becomes a regional issue, SADC may mediate to prevent escalation, particularly if political unrest spills over from Zambia. Long-term political effects. The burial could have lasting effects on Zambia's political trajectory. Elections and campaigns. If Zambia is nearing an election cycle, the burial could influence voter sentiment, with PF leveraging Lungu's memory to mobilize support. Youth and activism. Young Zambians, who form a significant portion of the population, may be inspired by the event to engage in political activism, either in support of or against Lungu's legacy. Policy shifts. The government may respond to the movement with policy changes, such as stricter border controls or measures to address political dissent. Emotional start. Zambians arrive in S.A. The phrase, emotional start, Zambians arrive in S, captures the deeply sentimental nature of this movement. The arrival of Zambians in South Africa is not just a logistical event, but a collective expression of grief, loyalty, and identity. This section explores the emotional dimensions of the movement, drawing on cultural and psychological perspectives. Cultural context. In Zambian culture, funerals are communal events that bring together families, communities, and even nations. The death of a prominent figure like Lungu likely triggers a shared sense of loss, prompting people to travel great distances to participate in mourning rituals. This is particularly true for supporters, who may see attendance as a way to honor Lungu's contributions to Zambia. Rituals and traditions. Zambian funerals often involve extended periods of mourning, with rituals like vigils, church services, and communal meals. The movement to South Africa suggests that these rituals are being adapted to a cross-border context, possibly due to Lungu's presence in South Africa at the time of death. Symbolism of presence. Physically attending the burial is a powerful act of respect and solidarity. For many Zambians, traveling to South Africa may feel like a moral or cultural obligation, especially if Lungu was a beloved figure. Psychological impact. The emotional weight of the event affects both individuals and communities. Grief and closure. For supporters, attending the burial provides a sense of closure and a chance to process grief collectively. This is particularly important in cultures where communal mourning is a key coping mechanism. Identity and belonging. The movement reinforces a sense of shared identity among Lungu supporters, whether based on political affiliation, ethnicity, or shared values. Traveling together strengthens these bonds. Hope and resilience. While the event is rooted in loss, it may also inspire hope, with supporters drawing strength from Lungu's legacy to face future challenges. Social media and emotional amplification. Platforms like X likely play a significant role in amplifying the emotional narrative. Viral tributes. Posts on X may include tributes, videos, or images of Lungu, encouraging more people to join the movement. Hashtags or campaigns could emerge to organize travel or share updates. Community building. Online spaces provide a platform for supporters to connect, share stories, and coordinate logistics, creating a virtual community that mirrors the physical movement. Why Lungu's burial matters to many. The significance of Lungu's burial lies in its ability to unite people across geographic, political, and social divides. Whether Lungu is a political leader, cultural icon, or religious figure, the event resonates deeply with many Zambians, particularly his supporters. Political legacy. If Lungu is a political figure like Edgar Lungu, his burial matters because of his impact on Zambia's political landscape. Leadership tenure. Edgar Lungu, as former president 2015 to 2021, led Zambia through a period of economic challenges, infrastructure development, and political polarization. His supporters may view his burial as a moment to celebrate his achievements, such as road construction or social programs, while critics may focus on controversies like debt or electoral disputes. Symbol of resistance. For opposition supporters, the burial could symbolize resistance against the current government, particularly if they perceive Lungu as a victim of political persecution or marginalization. Inspiration for future leaders. The event may inspire younger leaders to emulate Lungu's approach, whether in politics, community organizing, or advocacy. Cultural and social impact. Beyond politics, Lungu's burial holds broader significance. National mourning. The death of a prominent figure often prompts a period of national mourning, with public holidays, media coverage, and official ceremonies. Even those who did not support Lungu may participate out of respect for tradition. Community solidarity. The burial provides an opportunity for communities to come together, reinforcing social bonds and shared values. Diaspora engagement. For Zambians in South Africa, the event is a chance to reconnect with their homeland and assert their cultural identity. Spiritual dimensions. If Lungu had a religious or spiritual role, the burial may carry additional weight. Religious pilgrimage. The movement could resemble a pilgrimage, with attendees seeking spiritual fulfillment or blessings associated with Lungu's legacy. Moral reflection. The event may prompt discussions about mortality, legacy, and the role of leaders in shaping society's moral fabric. South Africa's role and response. South Africa's role as the host of Lungu's burial is multifaceted, encompassing logistical, diplomatic, and social dimensions. As a regional leader, South Africa must balance its responsibilities as a host with its domestic priorities. Logistical role. South Africa is likely providing providing the infrastructure and resources needed for the burial. Venue management. The funeral may take place in a stadium, church, or public space, requiring coordination between local authorities, event organizers, and Zambian representatives. Transport support. South African transport companies may facilitate the movement of Zambians with buses or trains operating special routes to accommodate mourners. Security measures. Given the potential for large crowds or political tensions, South Africa's police and military may be on high alert to prevent disruptions. Diplomatic role. South Africa's government plays a critical role in managing relations with Zambia. Official representation. South African officials, such as the president or foreign minister, may attend the burial to show solidarity with Zambia. Body repatriation. If Lungu died in South Africa, the government would coordinate with Zambia to ensure the body is handled respectfully, potentially involving state funerals or repatriation ceremonies. Regional stability. South Africa has a vested interest in maintaining stability in the SADC region. It may work to prevent the burial from becoming a source of political unrest. Social and economic role. The influx of Zambians has social and economic implications for South Africa. Community relations. South African communities may welcome Zambians as neighbors, but there is also a risk of xenophobic backlash, particularly in areas with high unemployment or resource scarcity. Economic boost. The event could stimulate local economies, with mourners spending on transport, food, and lodging. However, it may also strain public services in certain areas. Reactions from Lungu supporters. Lungu supporters are likely the driving force behind the movement to South Africa, and their reactions reflect a mix of grief, pride, and defiance. Emotional responses. Supporters are experiencing profound grief and a sense of loss. Personal connection. Many supporters may feel a personal connection to Lungu, whether through his policies, charisma, or cultural impact. Attending the burial is a way to honor this bond. Collective mourning. The movement allows supporters to mourn together, creating a sense of community and shared purpose. Defiance and pride. If Lungu was a polarizing figure, supporters may use the burial to assert his legacy and challenge narratives that diminish his contributions. Political reactions. For politically engaged supporters, the burial is a rallying point. Mobilization. Supporters may organize rallies, vigils, or marches in South Africa, using the event to strengthen their political base. Criticism of opponents. If Lungu's death is perceived as linked to political persecution, supporters may voice anger against the Zambian government or other actors. Legacy preservation. Supporters may launch campaigns to preserve Lungu's legacy, such as establishing memorials, scholarships, or foundations in his name. Social media amplification. Platforms like X are likely buzzing with reactions from supporters. Tributes and hashtags. Supporters may share tributes, photos, or videos of Lungu, using hashtags to amplify the event's significance. Organizing efforts. X posts may include calls to action, such as fundraising for travel costs or coordinating logistics for mourners. Counter-narratives. Supporters may use social media to counter negative portrayals of Lungu, defending his legacy against critics. Government response from both nations. The responses of the Zambian and South African governments are critical to managing the movement and its implications. Zambian government response. The Zambian government, likely led by the UPND under President HHvsLungu, faces a delicate situation. Official mourning. The government may declare a period of national mourning, including public holidays or state funerals, to honor Lungu while maintaining control over the narrative. Security measures. To prevent unrest, the government may increase security at borders and key locations, particularly if supporters are seen as mobilizing against the state. Diplomatic coordination. Zambia will work with South Africa to ensure the burial is conducted smoothly, especially if it involves repatriation or high-level attendance. Political management. The government may seek to downplay the political aspects of the burial, emphasizing unity while discouraging opposition activities. South African government response. South Africa's response is shaped by its role as a host. Facilitation. The government will facilitate the burial through logistical support, such as providing venues, security, and transport coordination. Neutrality. South Africa must maintain neutrality, avoiding actions that could be seen as favoring one political faction over another. Public communication. The government may issue statements to reassure South Africans about the influx, emphasizing the temporary nature of the movement and its cultural significance. Joint efforts. Both nations are likely collaborating on several fronts. Border management. Joint border patrols or agreements may be implemented to streamline the movement of people while ensuring security. Repatriation protocols. If Lungu's body is to be returned to Zambia, both governments will coordinate logistics, possibly involving state aircraft or ceremonial escorts. Regional cooperation. SADC may provide a framework for cooperation, ensuring the event does not destabilize the region. Is this becoming a national pilgrimage? The movement of Zambians to South Africa has characteristics of a pilgrimage, defined as a journey with spiritual, cultural, or emotional significance. Whether it constitutes a national pilgrimage depends on its scale, intent, and impact. Characteristics of a pilgrimage. Several factors suggest the movement resembles a pilgrimage. Emotional and spiritual intent. The emotional weight of Lungu's burial, as evidenced by the phrase, emotional start, indicates that participants are driven by a desire for closure, respect, or spiritual fulfillment. Collective participation. The large-scale movement suggests a collective effort, with communities organizing to attend the burial together. Symbolic destination. South Africa, as the location of the burial, may hold symbolic importance, whether due to Lungu's presence there or its status as a regional hub. National significance. For the movement to be considered a national pilgrimage, it must resonate with a significant portion of Zambia's population. Broad participation. If the movement includes diverse groups, urban and rural, young and old, supporters and non-supporters, it could be seen as a national endeavor. Government recognition. Official acknowledgement, such as a state funeral or public holiday, would elevate the event to national status. Cultural legacy. The burial's impact on Zambia's cultural and political identity could cement its status as a pilgrimage, particularly if it inspires ongoing traditions or memorials. Challenges to pilgrimage status. Not all aspects of the movement align with a pilgrimage. Political polarization. If the movement is primarily driven by Lungu supporters, it may not represent the entire nation, limiting its national character. Logistical barriers. Economic constraints or government restrictions may prevent widespread participation, making the movement more selective. Temporary nature. If the movement is a one-time event, it may not establish the lasting significance associated with pilgrimages. Potential outcomes. If the movement becomes a national pilgrimage, it could have lasting effects. Annual commemorations. Zambians may establish annual events to honor Lungu, such as memorial services or visits to his burial site. Cultural traditions. The event could inspire new cultural practices, such as songs, stories, or rituals tied to Lungu's legacy. Political mobilization. A pilgrimage could become a platform for political organizing, particularly for opposition groups. Final thoughts and what happens next. The movement of Zambians to South Africa for Lungu's burial is a complex phenomenon with emotional, political, and social dimensions. It reflects the deep impact of Lungu's life and legacy, whether as a political leader, cultural figure, or symbol of national identity. The event has significant implications for both Zambia and South Africa, shaping their political landscapes, bilateral relations, and regional dynamics. Short-term implications. In the immediate term, the focus will be on managing the logistics and emotions of the burial. Successful execution. Both nations must ensure the burial is conducted smoothly, with adequate security, transport, and diplomatic coordination. Public sentiment. The reactions of Lungu supporters and the broader public will shape the narrative, with social media playing a key role in amplifying voices. Political tensions. Any signs of unrest or polarization must be addressed to prevent escalation. Long-term implications. Looking ahead, the movement could have lasting effects. Zambia's political future. The burial may reshape Zambia's political landscape, with supporters leveraging the event to build momentum for opposition activities or new leadership. South Africa's regional role. South Africa's handling of the influx will reinforce its status as a regional leader, but it must navigate domestic concerns about migration and resources. Cultural legacy. Lungu's burial could inspire new traditions, memorials, or narratives that shape Zambia's identity for years to come. What happens next? The immediate next steps include funeral ceremonies. The burial itself will be the focal point, with ceremonies likely drawing large crowds and media attention. Government statements. Both Zambia and South Africa will issue statements to frame the event, emphasizing unity and respect. Monitoring reactions. Political and social reactions, particularly on platforms like X, will provide insight into the event's impact and future developments. Conclusion. The movement of Zambians to South Africa for Lungu's burial is a testament to the enduring power of collective grief and identity. It highlights the deep connections between Zambia and South Africa, as well as the complex interplay of politics, culture, and emotion in shaping national and regional narratives. As the event unfolds, its legacy will depend on how governments, supporters, and communities navigate the challenges and opportunities it presents.